Hello from Minsk. This is the podcast Pigeon of Peace where we do discuss awesome skills of troubleshooters. Watch, listen, and check the description below for the details. Let's talk about agricultural technique and let's start with the definition.
Agricultural technology or agri-tech uses advanced tools and techniques, including drones, robotics, AI, and biotechnology to improve efficiency, sustainability, and profitability of farming. Key areas to innovation include how to grow more stuff on the fields, how many time ground should rest, how to store and how to prepare food for cultivation. And emergent fields like vertical farming and Internet of Things are also transforming some areas of agri-tech to improve the quality, to enlarge the amount, and to provide us as fresh as possible in any town, in any city.
And well, if we start from the beginning, let's say we're a simple farmers cooperative, or maybe we already like a big enterprise. So probably there is also should be, I would call it like a management change, because at certain point of time we want to, like moving from the soil, we want to use some sort of like a technology. So how this process of, like building the mindset, creating a budget and building the plans to actually become from non-technical to quite technical and technological. So how this process may look like, maybe, like it has some problems or vice versa. There are things that actually easy to implement.
Okay, we could use as our fathers and grandpas just tractors and some other stuff to cultivate the field and to grow some kind of seeds. But now it's time for precise agriculture, and we could use GPSs and sensors. For example, for tractors, and those machines could work autonomously without a driver, without person, and they could work. It looks like vacuum cleaner in the house, which could be mapped for the first time, and then you will take one tractor in just spare mode to go to all corners, and then all other would work without people. So we need to make data analysis to monitor and manage field conditions on granular level, and to prepare optimized fertilizer and also water use. Then we could use agricultural robots and automation, and some of those robots could, for example, pick tomatoes or strawberries and put them already in the boxes ready to sell, and they also could be cleaned or, for example, weighted and wrapped with plastic, and it would be also price tag on it. Then we could use so-called artificial intelligence to process large amount of data, and for example we could find correlation where tomato more red, and for example where the corn seeds are bigger, and then to divide our field in special areas which are dedicated for designated cultures we could grow. Then we could also use biotechnology and genetic engineering, which involves modifying plants and animal DNA to fulfill our requirements. For example, we could install in potato gene of the Scorpio. It's okay, Scorpio?
Scorpio.
Scorpio. Or for example, in the wheat, we could put black trout, and into the potato, we could put, I don't know how to say, колорадский жук.
Probably Colorado bug.
Colorado bug, and then it would grow without any distortion.
And if we think about like any single step, so for me, it's really reminds the algorithm, because like we need to know like what to do from A to B and to Z. But maybe at certain point of time there should be something or someone, or maybe hybrid of what could orchestrate all of the things. Because for example, let's say if there is a robot, they need to load something, go at certain point, implement the operations, go back, unload. There also might be like having some issues with the energy, with the materials, etc. There should be controlling mechanisms, or like any mechanics that would allow to make sure that everything runs smooth. So if we look into it from more like a bird view, are there any places, systems, or at least some sort of like a framework in place in order to actually orchestrate even a small farm?
I would mention two technologies. One is vertical farming. This cultivates crop in stacks layers of controlled environments, offering a sustainable solution for urban areas, reducing resource consumption. And also, I don't know how to say it in English, maybe it's hydroponica,
Hydroponic.
when, thank you, some special boxes would be put in liquid, which contained all vitamins and mineral resources which are required for plants. And also there are another benefits of agri-tech. For example, it's increased yields. Technology helps optimize growing conditions, leading to higher crop productivity. Then it's improved efficiency. Automation and data-driven insight could be used to streamline farming operations. Also, it would be enhanced sustainability, precision techniques and resource management, reduce water resources, mineral resources, and fertilizers amount, and also lead to the less environment impact. Better resource management, real-time monitoring on soil could prevent us from putting water already where some small ponds are occur, and safe food productions. We could create, for example, chicken meat or salmon meat with special controlled pills which are designed especially for just these seasons.
Well, at a certain point of time, as you mentioned before, we might be using data to define like what kind of crop or what is the kind of condition at the moment it has. But maybe it's also could be make sense to like do a bit of like a conversion to figure out, for example, we seed some sort of like a wheat, and then we just want to switch to soybeans, or maybe to a different type of the wheat. So whether the technology will be helping to help with the probing, and maybe do a suggestions on how certain things could be converted. So let's say we want to make sure that 24/7 our fields or anything like that produce the result, no matter which one, but every time we optimize for whatever is good at certain point of time. So whether this will be possible, or this is not, I would say, how the physics and the nature works.
You're quite right. That's not how physics and nature works, but people are smart and they use special approaches. And maybe I would make some mistakes, and I invite our listeners and watchers to correct us. But I have seen some territories, especially on Maldives, where you could use not just vertical farming, but you could also use the ground to harvest 3 to 4 times per year. And for example, if you will see 100 years ago, people in Russia, in Ukraine, they were using, I don't know how to say, like interleaving. They were, for example, put some seed 1-2 years, and then will let this ground to rest for also 1 or 2 years. And in Russian language, it would be like a steam ground, земля под паром.
We could use that term. I think it's quite.
Okay, thank you. Steam ground. But for example, on Maldives, there's a country which are more than 99% under the water, so small pieces of the land covered with white sand, and then they collect leaves all around the islands, and then put on some special compost boxes. It's okay to say compost boxes?
Compost, yes.
Thank you. Compost boxes, and I have been there for many times, and we will grow. For example, it's named like green. For example, it would be onion, it would be some kind of iceberg salad and some other stuff, rucola, which could be then put to the salad. And yes, it looks like a real salad and real rucolas, but it's have a very strange smell, like nothing in it, and it's also have a very strong flavor of the sand. I don't know how to explain. So maybe the soil is not enough enriched with minerals and vitamins, but you could collect this green at least like each 10 days.
Well, and I actually want to use this term called full stack and try to maybe like apply it to the farming, because when I was living in a small farm when I was a kid, literally like nothing could be lost. Basically, you would reuse everything. For example, you go into forest, get some grass, you feed the cow, but when the cow like get some excrements, you also will clean them and use for fertilizer, so that you can like use it for your potato, and your potato you also use it for feed animals, feed yourself, and maybe fix it. So whether agriculture, giving the scale of it and maybe even the speed is also could be bigger, could use the same approach, so that whatever is produced, whatever is like leftovers of the producing, it could be reused and put into different conveyor, so that it's also could be part of the bigger chain.
If you have your own farm, then you could convert everything into the use. But if you work, for example, just with potato or just with corn or just with beetroot, you have no time for it. There is even a saying in Russian and Ukrainian language. For example, when a child peel the potato, mother or grandma would say something like that: "Oh, with these peels, you could feed whole families in Africa." So we cut a very huge amount of the skin of the potato, and it would make our women angry. But when you will see food production plants, this is the reason why not so often you could find organic chips. Usually it would be crushed in the pieces and then they would be restored. So the less and less company could create originally produced potato chips. And right now, for example, if you will see for Pringles, they are made like pharmaceutically. So this with small piece of potato flour and I don't know how to say, krahmal,
Starch.
starch, and some other. Thank you. If, for example, you will go and collect cranberry in Canada, I have seen how it works. They grow on the huge, how to say поляна?
Field. Or mellow.
On mellows, yes, thank you. Mellows, on huge mellows, then they put a lot of water and already raped berries, they would flow, and people just collect with special tool. I don't know how to say. It's very similar to a huge combs, and then they put into the cans and then go and put them to special machines. By the way, it's a very dangerous job. I was asking if I could join, and I would say no, because not just berries floating onto the water, also a lot of spiders, and some of they are slightly poison. And if you will be bitten something like by 20 or 30 species, you would lay at least for 2 or 3 weeks when you have never been used by biting from their sides. So the same we could say about bread. My favorite example, I have been to Canada and I have been working for a tea company, and I also have seen first in my life how this toast bread would be sliced. So this is huge baked bread with very correct shape would be sliced with special strings, and then all of this, I don't know how to say in Russian, we say горбушки.
Well, there is no word
Covers.
for that, but covers, I would say, yeah.
Covers, okay. But those covers, you will wonder, they would be thrown away, so they are never proceeds. But for example, if you have farm of your own, for example, my grandpa and I think maybe your grandma, they would cut this to pieces, and they would store it, I know, is in some stove oven, and to create small pieces, for example, to put this to Caesar salad, like grenki. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah, it's like a dried bread, but yeah, there is no word for
Red
that
breads.
in English.
Okay.
And maybe last part of it, because let's say if we do well on agricultural front, but there's also should be like a market for that for the items. And at certain point of time, there's also should be optimization. Let's say if we go to elevator, we want to make sure that like the all of the grains actually stored properly. Or I know, for example, in US market, they have this even specific, I would say, IT thing. It's called scale ticketing, so that every time you bring the weight there, it's actually they would give you official like a paper or maybe electronical thing saying like, hey, this is your type of the wheat that you have, this is the weight, this is other like a standards. So this is the first part. Another part for farmers, they actually would know like where exactly you can bring your crop so that you get the better price, and the prices always changes. And apparently there is also like a commodities market. So every commodity would have their own symbol, etc. So how this part is actually could help to, make sure that whatever is grown on the ground is actually could be sell at the maximum or at the optimum on the market.
To be sold on the optimum, it's a very hard way. I will explain. I have been working to investment company Alpha Capital, and you know what I have learned. It was a very strange year when people in Israel and Peru, they were started to intensify avocado production, and I have learned that they used a lot of water, and it's lead that some rivers in Peru and especially in Israel, it's a very dry territory, almost disappear, and the government would say something, come on guys, okay, you could make a profit, but do not destroy our nature. And when the amount of this avocado was growing on the commodity markets, suddenly we have bid and asks which will lead to our profit. And after one very successful day, we were going to, I don't know how to say, steaming room, парная.
Steam room.
We were going steam room under our office, and we were drinking beer and eat some sausages with mustard and bread. And then one of our elders would say, come on guys, do you understand that this is just our holiday and our celebration? Farmers will not get no penny for this success. And then I was looking at this person. I couldn't understand what he's talking. Everyone could make a profit. And he told, farmers always get almost the same price from the stock market or from the birge or from buyers, but all profits goes just to people who finance those operations, because farmers are financially illiterate, and they could not make forecast how many money they need to seed the ground early at the spring. So all farmers all around the world each spring ask for a loans, so bankers and investment bankers will hold all their money, and farmers do not want to listen and do not want to take insurance policies or some other instruments to decrease their interest rates which they pay to the banks.
Well, and I do believe we covered all of the process of all of the parts of agricultural technology and how it could make this world a better place. So stay in peace.